Good evening, all. Right to life doesn't mean mere existence or survival. It is not only the physical existence, but is the quality of way of our life. This includes the right to enjoy a pollution-free environment with fresh air and water. This right can only be enjoyed if there exists a pollution-free environment. We cannot blame a person or a particular group that they violated our rights. Our silence too contributes to their meaningful acts. Law provides us with a chance to rectify our mistakes that we have already done to the environment. So let's check different provisions under our legal system in the matter of environmental issues. Water pollution. Before going into the topic, I want to draw your attention towards some of the facts. Around 71% of total Earth's surface area is covered by water. The amount of fresh water is only 3%, and out of that 3%, 2.5% is unavailable for humans. And coming to India, we have a population which covers 17% of the total population over the globe, and our freshwater requirement is around 3%. In Global Water Quality Index, India ranks 120th position among 122 countries. Water Quality Index is a tool which determines the quality of water. It clearly shows that how polluted our water is. There are various causes for the water pollution in our country. Some of the sources are listed in the slides, that is sewage, industrial waste, household waste, urbanization, accidental oil leakage, chemical fertilizers and pesticides. The untreated sewage, that's the dumping of untreated sewage, can cause uh, spreading of various waterborne diseases, and the industrial waste from as more and more industries are setting up in the country, they release a lot of wastes into rivers directly without the proper treatment of the waste. And the increasing urbanization, it too contributes to the increase in the level of water pollution, and chemical fertilizers and pesticides from the fields of farmers, it too drains into the rivers, and from those rivers people are still using water for their daily purposes. And if the water in the rivers are polluted, uh, people will uh, people rely on illegal and expensive sources, and these all have a long term effects on humans and any living creatures. About 1.5 million children die from diarrhea and other waterborne diseases. Actually, the number of deaths causing from waterborne diseases than in HIV, tuberculosis is large in India. And in India, many of the people are relied on agriculture for their livelihood. So the polluted water, the polluted water cannot be used for the irrigation. So they rely on groundwater, and the over exploitation of groundwater can lead to water scarcity. And due to water pollution, many living organisms have already gone extinct and on the verge of extinction. And most of these effects can have a large cause, that's adverse effects on the biodiversity and in the food chain. There are so many ways by which we can treat wastewater or the wastes before dumping into the rivers or any water resources, but we are now looking onto the legal provisions as a remedy to water pollution. We all have seen toxic form in river Yamuna recently. Their devotees are standing in that toxic form performing various rituals. We can explain it with the help of natural phenomenon. When dead and decay matter does not dissolve in water completely, it forms into a floating layer. When this floating layer gets disturbed by waves of water, it forms into a froth. But forms at River Yamuna is not formed naturally. The higher concentration of phosphate has made the condition of River Yamuna more worse. The phosphate comes from the large amount of sewage and detergent waste that is dumped into the River Yamuna. We can see the same situation in the River Noil in Tamil Nadu. Tirupur is one of the cities on the banks of the River Noil. It's now a very big textile hub which contributes around 90% of total cotton textile exports and more than half of the knitwear exports. The dyeing and bleaching units there are releasing large amounts of chemical effluents into the river directly. At the same place, more than 1.5 million people are employed. This region was once a very fertile land for the cultivation for cotton, sugarcane, corn, rice in the past years. But now the situation of River Nile is very deteriorating. Many villages out there still performs agriculture as the source of livelihood, but the unproductive land has made their lives into chaos. Not only the industrial waste, also the plastic and household waste contributes to the pollution of the river Nile. Copper, zinc, lead, and other carcinogenic metals has made the river more polluted. And the nearby Oyattupalayam Dam, per day we can find more than 8 lakh fishes dead there. And the stretches of water hasn't plant is a clear indicator of metal pollution out there. In 2011, the State High Court mandated all manufacturers to set up all wastewater treatment plants, but many cannot afford to set up a wastewater plant. Also, people out there suffers from various waterborne diseases. This is not the case only of the river Nile. We can see many water resources polluted in this way or the other. There were environmental protection legislations done before the independence. However, it is only after the UN Conference on Human Environment at Stockholm in 1972, the National Council for Environmental Policy and Planning was set up. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974 was introduced to prevent and control the pollution of water and to restore and maintain the wholesomeness of water. The Water Act is divided into 8 chapters consisting of 64 sections. We can have now a look on those 8 chapters. The first chapter, that is the preliminary, it includes definition, title, applications, like definitions of a central board, state board, pollution, sewage, etc. And the second chapter, the central and state boards for prevention and control of water pollution, it explains the composition and constitution of those boards. That is, there should be a full-time chairman, being a person having special knowledge or practical experience in administering matters related to environmental issues, and those chairman can be nominated by the respective governments. That is, central, for the central board it is nominated by the central government, and for the state boards it is nominated by the state governments. And the third chapter, that is joint boards, there can be association of 2 or more governments of contiguous states, or can be association with the central board with any of the state boards. And the next chapter, that is powers and functions of boards, there the central government can be advised by the boards in any matter concerning with the prevention and control of the pollution, and they have the provision to coordinate state activities. They can collect, compile and publish the technical and statistical data regarding pollution levels. And the state boards, they too can advise, inspect, evolve new treatment methods, And this chapter also talks about the powers to give directions to governments by board. And the next, that is the fifth chapter, prevention and control of water pollution. There are some restrictions for this act. That power is resided with the state governments, and also it gives a power to any officer on behalf of various boards to inspect an area, to take samples for testing the quality of water. And this chapter also tells about some prohibitions on the use of stream or well for disposal of polluting matter, and it puts down some restrictions on discharges of waste, sewage, etc. Next chapter, that is the sixth chapter, deals with funds, accounts, and audits. There we can find major contributions done by the government for the functioning of various boards, and the board have some borrowing powers. They can present budgets, they present reports annually. And the next chapter, that is the seventh chapter, deals with the penalties and procedure. There are various penalties under different offenses done by companies, individuals, government department members, and the officers and the servants of board. The imprisonment range from 3 months to 7 years, and the fine can vary from 5,000 to 10,000. And the offenses, the punishment for offenses are accordingly the depth of the offense. And the final chapter, the eighth chapter, miscellaneous, there we can find the setting up of laboratories by the central and state governments and appointment of analysts. And there explains the power of jurisdiction, that is, no civil courts shall have jurisdiction to take action in the matters of water pollution. Moving to the objectives or aims of this Water Act, the prime objective is to prevent and control the water pollution levels, and it restores and maintains the wholesomeness of water. And under this act, we can establish central and state boards to prevent and control water pollution levels, and laboratories have been authorized by the respective boards to test the quality of water from time to time. And lastly, but not the least, penalties are imposed for offenses which cause water pollution. There are some constitutional provisions available for the prevention and control of water pollution and its conservation too. Article 15 says that the state shall not discriminate against any citizen on grounds of place of birth, religion, race, caste, sex, etc. For using bathing guts, tanks, holy rivers, wells, etc. And the Article 37 deals with the duty of state to protect the environment, and Article 39 it gives the state to direct its policy towards giving a secure, healthy environment, and it also deals with uh, providing the children a facility to grow up in a healthy manner. Article 51A, Clause G, deals with the fundamental duties of Indian citizens. It says that we have the right, no, we have the duty to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, wildlife, and to have a compassion for other living creatures. Next, Article 32, that is the right to constitutional remedies. I borrow the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He said it is the very soul and very heart of the Indian Constitution, that is the Article 32. We had a traditional rule that the right to move to the Supreme Court only is only available to those who have whose fundamental rights have been violated. But now this rule of locus standi has been relaxed by the Honorable Supreme Court. Now any socially spirited citizens can file a PIL or a writ regarding the matters of environment. And Article 226, it deals with the power of high courts to issue certain writs on the matters regarding environment. And Article 21, that is the right to life and personal liberty, it does not include any particular right, that is a right to water, but the Supreme Court had given essence to the right so that every person can enjoy their life to its fullest extent. That court have taken undertaken to explicate the development of ideology of being a part of right to life by various judicial pronouncement. That is water, what that is the access to fresh water is for everyone. And and the link between the quality of environment and right to life was first addressed by a constitutional bench of Supreme Court in Charan Lal Sahu case, and in Subhash Kumar case, the right to wholesomeness of water as a part of the fundamental right has been addressed by the Supreme Court. Under Indian Penal Code 1860, there are some provisions related to the crimes regarding water pollution. And under Section 268, it deals with the offense of public nuisance. And sections 269 to 271 deals with says that whoever negligently does an act to spread infection of disease which are dangerous to life are punishable. And Section 277, says that whoever corrupts or fouls water of public springs or reservoirs are punishable. They can be sentenced up to 3 months with a fine of 500 rupees. And Section 290, it says about the punishment for public nuisance, that is a fine of 200 rupees. And Section 430, whoever done a mischief by diverting the water to irrigational lands can be punished under this section, that is Section 430. The punishment can be the imprisonment of 5 years with the fine, or without the fine, or just the imprisonment.
Hello all, hope everyone is safe in these tough times. Today I, Tripti Vishnoi, a first year law student at DAS Law College, Pune, am going to speak on the topic Air Pollution and Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. The Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 aims to enable the preservation of the quality of air and control of air pollution. It was enacted to fulfill India's commitment at the 1972 United Nations Environment Conference. The law gave sweeping powers to state and the central government to take action to improve air quality, enforce pollution control measures, shut down errant industries, and send polluters to jail. India brought the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 as a powerful tool to fight air pollution. But over the decades, the government and the courts have ignored it. Experts say that the law is outdated as it does not cover modern sources of pollution, and the government needs to amend the law as soon as possible. There are still many tools in the law that the government is not using to fight against air pollution. If those tools used correctly, this act cannot be that redundant as it is now. Many sources of pollution are not covered in the Act. One of the criticisms of the Air Act has been that it has mainly focused on the large and obvious sources of pollution like factories, power plants, and it really did not cover dispersed sources of pollution like landfills, agriculture, field, vehicles, and household, which have emerged as sources of air pollution in these modern times. For instance, a study by the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, in 2015 said that dust was probably the biggest contributor of pollution, yet it has no place in the Act. The law still requires sample to be physically collected by official and analyzed in a laboratory. So for example, even if the emission system of a factory shows excessive emission, The board really cannot use it as an evidence to file a case against a factory, as it's requiring a physical collection of the samples by the officials. These things add to the difficulties already faced in gathering air evidence. For example, if there is an effluent flowing in the water, one can show it. But air is difficult. You cannot trap air in a container and produce it as an evidence. However, the inadequacies in the law also hide the fact that many of its provisions have not been used. In 2016, the Center for Science and Environment published a study of air pollution laws that found that Air Act and the Environment Protection Act were more than adequate to improve the air quality of our country. The study found that often state boards ignore direction issued by the central board, and many state boards have not been prepared clear action plans. Many of us must be aware of the plight of Delhi residents in the winter. The winter fog and the smoke from the stubble burning vehicles carried by the incoming northern winds combine to make Delhi a gas chamber. In 2019, Delhi was ranked as one of the most polluted major cities in the world. In these circumstances, we must examine the law framed by India to combat air pollution and whether it is enough or not to combat it. It is observed that the legislation to deal with air pollution is pretty strict and well formulated. It encompasses the scientific aspects of managing air pollution with the action of state and central bodies. The pollution control boards are bestowed with a wide range of powers and function to check emission limit and take appropriate action. However, enforcement still remains lax. At the end, I just want to add that every generation wants a new aspirational law. But there is nothing substantial to suggest that the current legislation is inadequate. The point is about enforcement. If the tools that are present in the Act are properly executed, then India will surely be a better place to live in with lesser air pollution. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Soni from PIMR Indore. Hope this video finds you well. I am here to discuss about waste management. Waste management is the activity and actions required to manage waste from its inception to its disposal. This includes the collection, transport, treatment and disposal of waste, together with monitoring and regulation of waste management process. So, what is waste? Waste is something that is thrown away because it is no longer useful. Items should only be considered waste if they cannot be recycled. Generally, waste is disposed of by curbside collection or personally delivered to a landfill, where it can be properly handled so it cannot contaminate groundwater or harm the surroundings. Basel Convention. Basel Convention is an international treaty signed on 22nd March 1989 that was designed to reduce the movement of hazardous waste between nations and specifically to prevent transfer of hazardous waste from developed to less developed countries. Basel Convention defines waste as waste are substances or objects which are disposed of or are intended to be disposed of or are required to be disposed of by the provision of national law. Disposal means getting rid of something or throwing it away. There are mainly 5 types of waste, namely organic waste, hazardous waste, solid waste, liquid waste and recyclable waste. Organic waste is a common household. All food waste, garden waste, manure, rotten meat are classified as organic waste. Over time, organic waste is turned into manure by microorganisms. However, this does not mean that you can dispose of them anywhere. Hazardous waste includes all type of rubbish that are flammable, toxic, corrosive and reactive. Solid waste can include a variety of items like in your household along with commercial and industrial locations like plastic waste, paper waste, tins and metals, ceramics and glass. Liquid waste is commonly found both in household as well as in industries. These waste include dirty water, organic liquids, wash water, waste detergents, and even rainwater. Recyclable waste includes all waste that can be converted into products that can be used again. Solid items such as paper, metals, furniture, and organic waste can be recycled. Classification of waste according to their origin and type. Municipal solid waste. It consists of everyday items we use and then we throw away, such as product packaging, grass clipping, furniture, clothing bottle, food scraps, newspaper, and appliances. Biomedical waste or hospital waste is a kind of waste containing infectious or potentially infectious materials. Industrial waste. It is the waste produced by industrial activity which includes any material that is rendered useless due during a manufacturing process such as that of factories, mills and mining operations. Agricultural waste includes manure and other waste from farm, poultry houses and slaughterhouses. Harvest waste, fertilizer runoff from field, pesticides that enter into water, air and soils. Radioactive waste. It is a type of hazardous waste that contains radioactive material. Radioactive waste is a result of many activities including nuclear medicine, nuclear research, nuclear power generation, rare earth mining and nuclear weapon reprocessing. E-waste. It is a popular informal name for electronic product nearing the end of their useful life. Computers, televisions, VCRs, stereos, copiers and fax machines are common electronic products. Many of these products can be reused, refurbished or recycled. Effects of waste on environment. Air contamination. When paper and plastics are burnt at the landfill, causing landfill gas, the chemical released will accumulate and contribute to the ozone layer and also hurt the surrounding human population. Methane gas adds to it as well. Besides, with chemicals such as dioxin out there, the air has been proven to have harmful effect on us. Harm towards animal and marine life. Animal or marine life coming in contact of dumped garbage or untreated sewage, that animal gets impacted in the worst of ways. The inevitable formation of algal bloom and clusters contaminate and eventually suffocates marine life such as coral and fish. Human damage. Think about the fires at landfills and its effect on us, whether coming from the air or its accumulation in our cellars. Those landfill gases have been exposed for causing cancer, create respiratory and visibility problem, and the explosion of canes put people nearby at constant risk. Soil contamination. It occurs by spilling and burying hazardous components in soil, which results in decreasing in soil fertility. Water contamination. Rainfall easily mixes to toxic liquid substances and seeps into the water streams to end up in nearby water bodies. Thus, the neighborhood fountain, pond, lake, or even drinking water taps are susceptible to dangers of contamination. Climate change. Firstly, harmful greenhouse gases are created from decomposing waste. These rise up to the atmosphere and trap heat. This adversely cause extreme weather reaction in the form of storms and typhoons. In order to keep as much material out of the landfill as possible, it's important for each of us to do our part. One of the ways to put that plan into action is through the 3 R's of waste management, that is, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce means to cut back on the amount of trash we generate. Reuse means to find new ways to use things that otherwise would have been thrown out. And recycle means to turn something old and useless like plastic, milk jug, etc. into something new and useful like benches, playground equipment, and recycled bins. There are several acts and regulations that aims to establish a sufficient protection system for the environment. These acts and regulations gives the power to the government to regulate all forms of waste and to tackle specific problems that may present themselves in several regions. Some of these acts and rules are Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016, E-Waste Management Rules 2016, Biomedical Waste Management Rules 2016, Hazardous and Other Waste Management Rules 2016, Construction and Demolition Waste Management Rules 2016, the Environment Protection Act 1986, several municipal laws, every ULB's legislation for waste management. All these acts and rules govern the transport, treatment, storage, and disposal of all manner of waste, including municipal solid waste, hazardous waste, and nuclear waste, among many other types.
Hello everyone, here I am Khushi Maheshwari and my topic for this video is deforestation. So first of all, what is deforestation? Deforestation can be defined as the large-scale removal of trees from forest for the benefit and development of human activities. So it is a very serious environmental concern since it can be result in the loss of biodiversities, damage to the natural habitats, disturbance in the water cycle and soil erosion. Deforestation is also a contributor to the climate change and global warming. So now moving further is causes of deforestation. First cause of deforestation is overpopulation. Overpopulation is one of the major cause of deforestation. As population increase, more land is needed for accommodation and other purposes. Cutting of a tree is most proportional to increase in number of persons. Second is expansion of agriculture. Agricultural plantation has been taken over. 49% of forest has been cut for agricultural use due to increase in its good. Third is forest fire. Unforeseen of forest fire is another reason for deforestation. Although it is a very natural phenomena, large areas have been destroyed due to the wildfire. Fourth is expansion of infrastructure. This is one of the most common reasons for deforestation. Tons of trees has been cut and will be cut to build roadways, railways and airways. So now moving ahead is effects of deforestation. First is global warming. The trees remove carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide from atmosphere through the process called photosynthesis. So trees are cut, the balance between carbon dioxide and oxygen get disrupted. So deforestation is major reason behind the global warming. Second is soil erosion. Soil erosion and deforestation goes hand in hand. The trees and its roots act as bodyguard and help a soil to stay in place. So third one is flooding. Deforestation causes severe flooding. The soil in the deforested area is incapable to hold water. So as a result, mudslides and flood get triggered. Fourth and the last, climate change. The climate change also get affected by deforestation. This is mainly because of the change in the level of uh, carbon dioxide in an atmosphere. So measures to control deforestation is first, reforestation. The best way to heal the loss is to plant more and more trees. Second is proper awareness. Proper awareness should be created among all the citizens that after effect of deforestation so as to protect the future generation of mankind. Third is recycled product. Consumers should be encouraged to use recycled product like paper, books, bags, and notebooks so that no extra need to cut the trees for manufacturing these items. Fourth is Forest Protection Act. Forest Protection Act should be amended and strictly followed so that illegal timber collection is avoided. The next is the Forest Conservation Act 1980. The Forest Conservation Act of 1980, in this act by the Parliament of India, which ensures to conserve conservation of forest and its resources. It was enacted by the Parliament of India in order to control the ongoing situation of deforestation of forest in India. It came into force on 25th of October 1980 and it consists of five sections. Need for the Forest Conservation Act 1980 is forests are the important resource of the mankind. Therefore, it is a duty of every citizen to preserve the ecosystem of the forest. But due to the rapid deforestation, the cycle of nature is itself being disrupted. Therefore, the need to bring about a law to ensure the preservation of forest was needed. Objective of Forest Conservation Act 1980 is to protect the forest along with its flora and fauna and other diverse ecological components while preserving the integrity and territory of the forest. Second is arrest the loss of the forest biodiversity. Third is to prevent forest land being cultivated into agricultural grazing or for any other commercial purposes and intentions. The feature of Forest Conservation Act 1980. First, the Act restricts the state government and other authorities to take the decision first without the permission of central government. Second, the Forest Conservation Act gives complete authority to central government to carry out the objectives of this Act. Third, this Act provides penalty on the violation of any provisions. Fourth, the Conservation Act will have an advisory committee which all which will help the central government with regards to the forest conservation. So now case laws. First is Tarun Bharat Singh versus Union of India 1993. In this case, the court held that whenever an area is declared as the protected forest, it comes under the purview of Forest Conservation Act, and now state government cannot carry of any non-forest activity in the reserve area without the prior permission of the central government. Second is State of MP versus Krishna Das Tikram 1994. In this case, the Supreme Court held that under Section 2 of Forest Conservation Act, the state cannot grant or review the license without the prior approval of central government. Therefore, the cancellation of the order was properly made.
We have emphasized on water pollution, air pollution, deforestation, and waste management. These are not only the issues related to environment. We have global warming, ozone layer depletion, soil contamination, biodiversity loss, and the list goes on. The organisms and ecosystem are interlinked, so a solution to a single problem can resolve others too. And voice for the development of the country is as much as important that's for the environmental protection. And in our country we have a legal system having different provisions for the protection of environment, and our judiciary has played a very important role in formulating various principles regarding environmental legislation. Just keep in mind that earth needs a good lawyer, not for herself but for us.